All right, cheers, man.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is super sweet.
Yeah.
I think this is probably one of the sweetest sakes I've ever had.
Yeah. Actually, so I've gotten this one before, but our friend Tomoko actually bought this for us this time.
Thank you, Tomoko.
Yeah.
Does Tomoko watch our videos?
I hope so. If she doesn't, she helps out, but
yeah,
I'm not sure if she watches.
Yeah, because like I don't know if like our little editing crew like actually. Oh, Yuta watches our videos, surely, right?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, Yuta, thanks for all your help. You're awesome.
Yeah.
But people don't know who we're talking about.
Anyways,
so what were we going to talk about today?
Stationaries.
Stationery.
Yeah.
Stationaries or stationery?
I don't know. Do you put an S on it?
No, you don't.
I guess it's
English
like
teacher.
Yeah, that's fair. It's an uncountable noun.
Yeah.
All right.
How many stationaries do you have? I just have a bunch of stationery.
Okay.
Come on, man. Okay, let's just end this episode right now.
Rake me over the coals. I surrender, sir.
You're out, man. I'm gonna get you fired.
The amount of crap that I get for like messing up English, and then people will be like, "But you're an English teacher." It's like, all right. I'm gonna go to your chosen profession. I'm gonna wait for you to make a mistake. I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
And I'm gonna call you out on it.
Please don't. You'll find everything. But can you talk about the ring on your pointer finger?
So there's a story with this. First of all, you can't really see it from the camera.
Just pretend like you're punching the camera lens.
If any of you are a Lord of the Rings fan, this is the Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's got the little Elvish written on it.
Yeah,
I'm a really big Lord of the Rings fan. I love Lord of the Rings.
You're so white.
Yeah. If you guys like fantasy, and you want to learn about, I would say it's like a really good kind of like mirror into Western culture, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because J.R.R. Tolkien grew up in the 1900s, and he fought in World War I, and a lot of like the story of Lord of the Rings and like the cultures in it are kind of based off like European culture, and British culture, obviously. Anyways, so I wanted to buy a ring. So I didn't spend a lot of money on my wedding ring. But I was recently informed by my sister when we were in America that you can buy rings off Amazon for like $30.
Okay.
Right? And they're these tungsten rings. So that's what this is.
It's like a tungsten ring.
It's a tungsten ring that's coated in like a gold coating. Right? And so like I was frustrated because like I spent a lot of money on my wedding ring when I could have just bought rings on Amazon for $30. And like my wife, it's like I'm so glad like my wife and I are just like always on the same level. Because she's like, yeah, we wasted money there. We could have just bought cheap rings. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, when we got back to Japan, I was like, you know what? Let's just buy some rings now.
Okay.
Since that's a thing that we can apparently do.
Yeah.
So I bought her a ring, and then I was looking at wedding rings, and I was like, I'd like the Ring of Power as my wedding ring.
The Ring of Power. Wait, so but you didn't get that at your wedding though?
No.
Okay. But it's just after.
Who cares?
Post-wedding wedding ring.
A wedding ring's a wedding ring as far as I'm concerned.
Post-wedding wedding ring. Got it. Got it.
But yeah, so like I bought this ring and I was really excited for it. But then I bought it in the wrong size.
Okay.
So hence why I'm wearing it on my index finger.
Okay.
Because it actually just like completely.
Yeah, I see that. It's covering
this is like loose on my ring finger.
Okay.
But then I rewatched The Lord of the Rings, and it turns out Sauron, like the main bad guy, like wears it on his finger.
Oh, really?
Right there.
On
so
his
now I
finger?
feel cool.
Okay,
so
because you're like Sauron, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Great. I love that. The eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a gold ring on my finger.
Okay.
And it's been fun. I've just like kind of embraced it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because I actually had a Ring of Power too when I was in middle school when the movies first came out.
Oh, really?
But I got it because I actually bought it as a leather bookmark. And it had a ring attached to it by like a small like rope or something like that.
Yeah. And
I just was like, hey, I like the ring more than the bookmark. So I just took it off and I started wearing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that brings us back to the stationery topic. So I want to know, why would you think talking about stationery is a good idea?
So the reason why is like, I think we need to like honestly, we'll take stationery, and I want to stay on this topic, but I want to kind of expand it a little bit to like dollar stores in Japan.
Okay.
And obviously they're not called dollar stores here; they're called 100 yen stores, or more specifically, hyakken, or the brand Daiso.
Yeah, right.
And Daiso's actually opened up stores in the U.S.
Yeah.
I don't know other states, but I know if you go to Seattle, like it's not uncommon to see them.
At first Daiso I went to was in Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And so what these places are is they're actually these really incredible stores that you go in, and to be fair, not everything costs 100 yen.
Yeah.
You'll see some stuff that can go all the way up to like 600 yen.
Okay.
But the idea is like pretty much everything there is under 1,000 yen. Right? That's like guaranteed if you go in. But you can find some incredible stuff. You can find shelving, you can find like painting supplies, fishing stuff, groceries, like pretty much anything you could think of. Like electronics, they sell like electronic headphones that are like actually not terrible.
Yeah.
And so it's like pretty amazing what you can get for that.
for the price you actually get pretty good quality.
Yeah.
I was surprised too.
But by far the largest section in the store, in fact, I would say probably like half of the store is devoted to the stationery section.
Yeah, that's
right. True. And Japan goes hard when it like when it comes to stationery. You know what I mean? Like there are so like I remember I'm going to ask you the same question. So I want you to think, like, what is one piece of stationery that blew your minds when you came here? Can you think of any? Because I'll tell you what mine was.
Yeah,
so
you
for
tell me
me
first.
I have gone my entire life of using a stapler and using the metal staples. And then I came here to Japan, and they got some weird contraption that does some like origami stuff.
Yeah.
And
it folds the paper over.
It folds the paper over so you don't have to use metal paper clips.
Yeah,
How
that's
insane is that?
Okay.
It's so cool. Like I just feel like it looks cool first, right?
Yeah.
But like also like it's cool because you kind of get that little bump up because you're like, huh, look, I'm being nice for the environment.
Yeah, I'm being eco-friendly.
You know, it is just like, man, why are we using metal staples when this exists?
Yeah.
Like it was just so cool to me. So that was like my first experience, just being blown away.
Yeah. I think for me, like the stationery, I wasn't necessarily blown away by a piece of stationery, but I was blown away at the amount of like handwritten letters and notes that people give to each other.
Yeah.
Because like in the States, you really don't have a culture of that, you know? Like I remember when I left, when I did my homestay in Osaka, right? And I left, and my host mom, on the day that I left, she gave me a letter, but it wasn't like an A4, you know, sheet of paper, whatever. It was literally like 1/3 of the size, so that you didn't have to fold it over. But it was just a bunch of slips, and she wrote like 4 of those where it's just like a message on them. Yeah, and it was almost like it was like a little rectangular slip, you know. And I was like, oh, you know, if it was someone else, they would have written it in a card or something. Oh yeah, that's the thing that I thought was interesting is in the States, like, people always like if you get a piece of stationery, normally it's like a card, you put it in an envelope, but here it's like a piece of paper, like a letter kind of thing. You know?
Well, something else that I find interesting, and I'm going to ask you this because I'm actually curious if it's just my family who does this or if this is just the thing people do in the US. But like when you're getting somebody a card, let's say it's their birthday, right? When you're getting something or someone a card, you go to like Hallmark or, you know, whatever stationery store, right? And you buy the card. You don't really write the letter. Yeah. You just like, you're choosing a card that like, so the cards will have stuff written in them already, right?
Yeah, like a message.
It'll be like printed in it. And so you spend time looking for a message that kind of matches the feeling of like what you want to say. And then you usually just like sign your name, like, oh, happy birthday, love, you know, Austin. Yeah. You know, and that's it. Yeah. And here in Japan, like, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, you haven't, but they're very, very limited. It's always like blank cards or it's like an empty letter that you can, like, piece of stationery that you can write an actual letter in. It's much more, you have to come up with the idea yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I feel like it's used like there's so much more accessories to letters here. Like, you know what, a perfect example, man, is back during my wedding when I was getting the what's it called? The money from people.
Yeah.
You remember
Okoshugi?
Yes. So basically that's like wedding money, like everyone gives you money for getting married. And the wrapping on all of them is like really elaborate, right? So it's like you'll have the money in here, right? And then it gets like folded 3 times on a paper. And then inside that, there's usually like a message or something from the person. Yeah. And then and then that itself is wrapped 3 times in paper and then like wrapped in this like
a bow or something.
Yeah. And it's like, that's so elaborate for basically what's just a letter saying, congratulations, here's some money.
Yeah, like it's funny because, you know, in the States, when I think of stationery, you know, like we said, people don't really write letters.
Yeah.
And they'll get a card. And a lot of times, you only really send cards on the holidays or someone's birthday. So like Nengajo stuff, you know, like a New Year's card or something. You know, that's something that's interesting too. So like, this kind of like goes into using stationery, but like the New Year's card is different from the Christmas cards in the States. Like, do you, so I don't know about you, but I know in my family, every year around Christmas time, because Christmas time is the big holiday, we get postcards from a bunch of people we know, and it's all like pictures of their family.
Oh yeah, of course. I feel like that's a deep-rooted American tradition.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, this is our family this year. Yeah. Let me show you a picture.
And it's usually, there's usually a kind of joke in the picture where it's like everyone has like ugly Christmas sweaters, or there's like a theme or something.
Yeah. And whereas like in Japan, like the New Year's cards are just like, hey, Happy New Year. There's no picture on this. I'm just writing you a message.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny how you have that difference, but I feel like, you know, in the States, like you said, you know, there's like a theme or like a gag or a joke, and I feel like there are most of the greeting cards that I picked, because I almost never write letters to people, but I would get cards. They're always like based on a joke, or something, you know, Whereas like in Japan, I feel like people write on stationery, they write more heartfelt messages.
Yeah, I agree. You know, like the textbook one I can think of is like, you know, somebody turns 40 and you'll get a card be like, hey, you're nearly dead.
Yeah,
like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, there's some kind of like dark humor or like, you know, joke that like is not very serious. But it's a lot more heartfelt, or I don't want to say serious, but like sincere. Maybe
more sincere, more thought out, I think. More thought out. So why do you think it is that in the States the Hallmark greeting cards kind of took off, whereas in Japan it's more like heartfelt writing?
I think, I mean, I've got a couple reasons why I think that, but I think the main thing is like one of the real trademarks of America, and I don't know how to make this sound not negative, but so I'm just going to throw it out, but I think one of the hallmark traits...
Hallmark traits,
I didn't even catch on to that. One of the traits that American culture has is we kind of just like willingly throw out our cultural soul to make things more convenient.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, Walmart and like these big shopping things kind of replaced like small shops in America. And then Amazon's replaced that.
Yeah.
Right? Amazon's replaced everything now. And it's like, I think we'll eventually get into a future where it's like, you just buy everything from Amazon or whatever, you know? But it's just like, well, people, for the sake of saving time and effort, they'll just be like, yeah, I don't need to write this letter. I'm just going to go to the store and, hey, this says about what I want to say. This is funny. They'll laugh about this, and then they just buy it. And I don't think it's, I don't think it's like necessarily like a negative thing, right? Because for me personally, like I'm just not somebody who gets moved by letters. Yeah. So like, you know, like on that matter, it's like I don't really care all that much if I get something. It's like for me, that's like the act of getting something. Yeah. It's like I got a letter from this person. It's like I don't care if they hand wrote it or if they printed it out, but.
Now, I keep all the letters people give me. I've kept all my letters over the past like 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think
Because there's 5 of them. No, I'm just kidding. There's more.
There's 3 things that I've kept over the years.
Yeah.
And all of them are from my nieces. Actually.
Yeah, right? That makes sense,
Yeah, Chelsea's actually probably going to get really excited when I mention this now.
Okay.
I'm not doing this to earn brownie points, Chelsea. But I think it was it last time. It was not this last time, but the time before that. I went back to the U.S. and my nieces both drew pictures.
Okay.
Because they were happy to see me, and so, yeah, they're just I can't throw those away.
Yeah,
man.
you can't throw
cute,
those away, man.
So yeah, those are hanging up on my wall in my apartment still, and they've been up there for a couple of years now. But that's like the only thing I've ever kept.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I used to write these heartfelt messages when I was in boot camp and going through like training in the Marines, and like I feel bad because my mom kept all those messages, like the letters that I wrote, but all the ones that I got from my family and everything just threw out when I got out of boot camp. It's like,
yeah, I feel like, well, speaking about that, right? So I feel like, as like different cultures, I feel like people in the West, especially like in the States and Europe, whatever. I mean, that is the West, but, well, let's say it this way. I feel like in Japan, people value the written word more than we do. And that could have been because, I mean, they did have printing back then, but everything was handwritten up until the late 1800s, pretty much. And in Europe, Gutenberg invented the printing press in the 1500s, and that kind of democratized education and knowledge, and people have been printing on things for hundreds of years. So it's almost like you have this pre-made item with print. It's not necessarily formed by a human hand, but it's just like a machine made it.
Yeah.
And so we're much more used to that. Whereas like up until 150 years ago, it was really like everything you got was handwritten. And also I feel like in Japan too, people judge you by your handwriting. Like I remember.
Oh my God, man! We could talk about this. I want to hear your story though.
No, I just remember. So, my first Japanese tutor, who actually I did the homestay at her house in Osaka. She's amazing. Changed my life. And she told me when I was practicing writing, she's like, Arthur, you need to learn to write well. It's like, why? She's like, because people will think you're a bad person if you don't. I was like, oh. Crap. And so when she was teaching me, my handwriting was really good, and now it's gone really bad. Yeah.
So teachers, especially Japanese English teachers, are very, very harsh on bad handwriting. So I have bad handwriting, and I blame it on being left-handed because I've never met a left-handed person that's good at like writing. I could probably have tried more in school to like improve, and I could probably try now, but I just can't be asked to do it now. But so I'll be writing on the board, and a characteristic that left-handed people tend to have is the sentences will kind of like dip down.
Okay.
Which apparently, if you're right-handed,
go up.
It's easier. Yeah, it goes like this, right?
Yeah.
But if you're left-handed, it goes down. And so, like, I'll be writing on the whiteboard, and my sentences will go down like that. And the way that I write, especially my numbers, is like kind of like shorthand writing, where it's just like 7 will just be like kind of look like ooh,
like ooh, right.
And then a real bad habit that I have is when I'm writing, usually I write my S's and my T's in uppercase.
Okay.
Especially S's. Like I almost always write my S's
even
in
if it's in the middle of a word?
Yes.
Why?
It's just a habit that I have.
Okay.
And I get raked over the coals constantly.
Yeah.
From like if another teacher sees my like handwriting, if they're like walking by, they'll like pull me aside after my class and be like, Austin, your S's are not supposed to look like that.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, who cares? No one cares. And they're like, no. If they write this in an entrance exam essay, and it's like, I'm not changing
Okay. Okay.
but I get constantly called out for it.
Yeah.
Well,
it goes into even like the resumes that people write for job hunting, right?
Yeah.
That's all handwritten. Could you imagine that? I would never get a job if I had to.
No,
I didn't
man.
get a job anyways, but
oh, maybe that's why.
yeah. But yeah, so I guess there's this huge value put on like the written word.
Yeah,
and that's
very
why
much.
letter writing is much more big here.
And I mean, it makes sense, right? You think of like how strict writing, like what the heck?
Oh, something just fell out of your beard.
Oh, it scared the crap out of me. It must be that's my snack for later. I usually just keep my snacks up here.
Gross, man.
Oh, anyways,
Okay. Sorry, we're
that's
definitely
a joke, by the way. I'm not a dirty human being.
We're definitely keeping that in the video.
I just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
We were talking about so Japan puts more value on the written word, and we got back to that topic, and you were going to take it down another path, and then some crap came out of your beard. I still see there's a little bit of crap still in your beard, actually,
Is it really?
near the bottom. I don't want to touch it, so.
Oh man,
it's about to fall out. Some more just fell out.
God, dude, we need to cut this part out.
I know your brand is gonna be destroyed.
Okay, so to give some backstory, like I said, I'm not a dirty person. I just got curry, and I was sitting down for lunch, and then we decided to film, and I was gonna eat curry afterwards. So I just want to throw that out there.
Austin is really dirty, actually.
I'm not
Don't
a dirty
believe
person.
him. No, I'm just kidding. No, have you noticed like how a lot of Japanese people, when they sweat, they don't smell?
No, it's not the Japanese. That's a gene that people in Asia have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because my coworker, she's Chinese. She has that. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
Because like the other day, it was like, I don't know, like 37 or something outside,
super hot.
right? It was really hot. And so like 37's like somewhere in the 90s in Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, right.
And it was like, 100% humidity, just terrible to exist in. And me, I am a profuse sweater.
Yeah.
I sweat, and then it looks like I just got out of a bath.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Dude.
And me, it's like, like the deodorant in this country is like really weak.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Because they don't use
aluminum.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. That's part of it. I mean, that's for antiperspirants.
Yeah. Well, so it must be that, because they don't do the antiperspirants.
Yeah.
And so what happens is like you'll put deodorant on, you'll smell okay for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it just goes away.
Yeah.
Right. And so like me, I'm like sweating and I'm stinky and it's like, God, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I look over at my coworker and she's just like, fine.
Yeah, right.
Just
because near the end of the day, especially here, you are aware of how much you smell.
Everybody smells. Well, except for the people that like don't have that gene.
Yeah, I know. But like me, I'm consciously aware of how much I smell,
Yeah.
And like, it was so funny because my wife yesterday, because I'm wearing like these Arism really
my
cool
God. You
like
stinky
polo shirts.
Greek man.
I am a stinky Greek man. No, but she last night, she's like, Arthur, no offense, but did you notice how your shirt smelled less this morning? And I was like, yes, I did actually, because I was like, oh, this smells kind of fresh. She's like, yeah, I used an extra strong like detergent so that it gets the smell out for you. I was like, thank you.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, because seriously, man, like it's deadly, man.
Poor Yui hasn't even said anything.
I know. She's
I
too
feel
nice,
like,
man.
Yeah, I feel like she's just too nice.
Yeah.
She's probably like, God damn it, why did I marry such a stinky guy?
I know. In the winter, it's okay because you're nice and warm. You can be like the heating for the house, but in the summer, it's deadly.
Yeah.
So how do we get on this topic from stationery and handwriting?
I don't know.
Let's go back again a little bit more to stationery. Like, what's another like thing that you've noticed with stationery here?
Pen cases, man.
Yeah.
Like pen case culture is like pretty insane over here. Cause like,
big time.
I mean, you'll have like pen cases and stuff like in the US, right? Mm-hmm. But like, and maybe this might be just because I'm a guy. So I think women tend to favor like pen case accessories a little bit more than men. Can't imagine why.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I remember when I was in school, like I had a pen case and it's like, you had some pens in there, a couple pencils, maybe like a little like short ruler and, like an eraser, right? Here it's like, man, I mean, if you open up a student's pen case here, they have like 30 pens.
Yeah.
And pencils. They'll have like 4 or 5 different colors of highlighter. Of course, they'll have the ruler. They'll have that like math compass thing, like the thing that like you always played with but never used in class.
Right.
And then like the outside of the pen case will be like these plushy dolls. Like
that they attach to them.
Well, no. I'm like, they're not even attachments. Like the pen case itself is a doll.
Okay.
Like that's something you see all the time here, and it's like boys will have them too. Yeah. And it'll be like these characters from TV shows, and it's like those characters are the pen case. You see that all the time here. Yeah. It's crazy. Like even high school students, you see it.
You know, it's funny now that so as you're mentioning this, I'm getting really nostalgic for Germany because my sister had a pen case when she went to German school that was really like that, except it had unicorns on it.
Oh, really?
But she did have all the highlighters. She had a ton of pens in it, and it was all organized. She had like 3 different erasers, whatever. Yeah. And then now that you say it, you know, when I moved to the States, you didn't really have any of that. You know, like of course you have like a pen case that you'll put some pens in, but nothing like as elaborate as you're saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's just crazy, like the amount of stuff that gets crammed in those pen cases, and it's like just how much students bring around.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, so I feel like in Japan the DIY movement is getting stronger here, of like do it yourself, like fix your house or whatever. Yeah. And people paint their house and stuff like that. But I feel like in Japan there's more of a craft culture than in the States, you know, like stationery and putting together photo albums and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. Like, you know, scrapbooking is like intense.
Oh, yeah,
here.
Scrapbooking. Yeah, right. And so I guess like it goes back to that whole, you know, creating something, you know, something beautiful, something nice, handmade kind of thing. Yeah. And it kind of makes me think of like what we talked about in nature. You know, you talked about how in America, like the nature is so overwhelming, whereas like in Japan, it's much more small and you have to pay attention to it, right? And it's like the same thing. You have all these little dainty little things like in the scrapbook, you'll put a little bit of ribbon just because it looks nice. Yeah. Or you'll put that on your letter somehow and you'll do a little doodle or something like that. Yeah. And it's like, I can't remember the last time I ever saw something like that in the States. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Man. So for you, if you had to go get stationery, where would you go?
Like here?
Yeah, in Japan.
Oh, Daiso.
You go to Daiso?
I'd go to Daiso.
Cheap jerk.
Okay, Mr. Expensive Stationery Man, where would you go?
I would go to Loft.
Oh, God.
What?
Oh, my God.
What?
Okay, so I'm sure many of you, well, if you're in Japan, you know Loft exists. But Loft is like, I would say Loft is like a Seattle store.
Okay, yeah.
It's a very yuppie, like, oh, would you like this pen? By the way, it's $15 for this state-of-the-art ergonomic pen.
I do have a $50 pen actually, so but I bought it in the States. I bought it in the States though. So I don't know, you know, something about Loft, like it just they have like more of a variety of different types of things. Whereas like if I wanted to get something simple, I would go to Daiso. Stop giving me that look.
More of a variety, he says. It's the same thing. No, it just costs 4 times as much.
No.
He just wants to flex. I can afford this.
No, okay. So if I were to get basic stationery, like the little slips of like rectangles like that my host mom gave me, yeah, I'd probably go to Daiso for that. It's super simple. But if I wanted to get something more special,
like an ergonomic pen,
no, like just something really unique, then I would go to Loft. I feel like a Loft just feels special to me. There's a Loft in Musashi Kosugi, actually.
Arthur's gonna get his little slip of paper and then bring out like the ink and his quill pen, dip it in the ink, and dearest madam.
So in all honesty, my pen of choice is a fountain pen.
Oh my. Man, I'm on point with all these colors.
I don't have an inkwell because it has like the cartridge in it. Actually, I had to go home and get new cartridges because I don't have any more cartridges here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, fountain pens are really cool.
Yeah.
Like I spend a lot of time on the train watching like YouTube shorts. And there's this one channel that I follow that's like a fountain pen enthusiast channel.
Really?
Yeah. As dumb as that is. But like all the videos are just like, here's how I load up this pen, and it's just like It's so cool.
Oh, so it's like showing you how he uses the pen and stuff?
Yeah, he'll like do drawings with it, but like also some of the shorts that he does is him loading up the pen because he's got to use a syringe for it.
Okay.
And it's just, I don't know, it's really cool to watch.
Actually, I want to show me that afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny though that you mentioned that because so I wanted to get a fountain pen because I didn't want to throw away pens every time I ran out of ink, And I don't have those ones with like the refillable cartridges in them or whatever. But what was I going to say? The thing I like about a fountain pen though is that you can adjust the texture of the line really easily on it.
Yeah.
And what's also kind of funny, I didn't realize this until after I bought one because the fountain pen would be the only pen that I'd have on me. So when someone would be like, hey, do you have a pen? I give it to them. They wouldn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And they would try to use it. They can't write well.
Yeah. You can't just like whip out a pen or a fountain pen and just be like, start writing. Because you got to hold it a certain way in order to get the ink onto the paper.
Speaking of which, about pens, have you noticed how there's so many more fine tip pens here than in the States?
Oh, yeah, actually. So that I noticed that back in high school.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when mechanical pencils became popular, but I know there was a very distinct period when I was in junior high that everyone had number 2 pencils, and then like the next year we had like gel pens and mechanical pencils.
Yeah, right. Gel pens, man. Wow.
And it was so crazy because like the number 2 pencil, like it's a big thick pencil, right? But then we would get these mechanical pencils that were like 0.5 millimeter, and it would say Japan on the side of them.
Yeah.
And when you go here, it's like you don't even see really big thick pencils here.
Yeah.
That they're all like really fine pencils, and it's the same with pens. They're like really fine, like 0.5, 0.7 millimeter pens.
Why do you think it is that here there's so many more fine tip pens and pencils compared to the States?
If I had to guess, I would say it's because the paper that's generally used for writing here is B5 paper. So like to give you a context, America, the standardized paper that Americans use, and I think Europe also, is the A4 paper.
A4 paper, yeah.
Right? That's the, 6x11 inch paper. And B5 is like, I would say 40% the size of that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a smaller paper. And that's the standard paper that you use as a student.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that they would want a smaller pen to go along with that so they can still fit like a similar word count onto the paper.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. I don't know if that's true though.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be part of it. I was thinking it would be because, people have to write kanji, whereas we just write letters, and kanji are much more intricate than letters, so you have to write in a smaller space.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be both.
Yeah.
But speaking of when you're mentioning B4, I never knew paper sizes until I came here.
Same here, man. I was just like, or I think it's 8x11.
Yeah. 8x11,
it's like, oh yeah, you just use the 8x11 paper, and then I came here and I was like, what the hell is B5?
Yeah. A4? Like, is that the same? But this is the same. Why are you calling it A4? They're like, no, we want A5. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And it's no. Today we're going to be using like B2, B3, and I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
And it's funny how it's like that's something that's like common sense knowledge that you get here.
I will say though, I've gotten pretty damn good at using a printer here.
Yeah.
So when I first moved over here, you can measure how long an English teacher has been here based off of how they print their assignments.
Yeah.
Right. When I first moved over here, everything was A4 stapled.
Yeah. Right. Stapled.
Right.
Big word.
And then I graduated into B5, but we still stapled.
Yeah.
And then I graduated into B4.
Yeah.
So
and then you fold it.
So yeah. So for those of you who don't understand what B4 is literally just 2 B5 papers together.
Yeah. So the way that the like A and the B paper sizes go is that A and B are both like these huge sheets of paper. They're different sizes, which is why one's A and why one's B. And every number you go up, it gets half the size.
Yeah.
So B2 is half the size of B1.
Yep.
B3 is half the size of B2.
Yeah.
B4 is half the size of B3.
Yeah. And so so that was my next evolution.
Yeah.
Now I've graduated from that though.
What do you do?
Because now I print out booklets, man.
Booklets.
Yeah, so there's a printer option that if you print out B5 papers, it'll print out these double-sided B4 papers that'll like match the pages up.
Okay.
And so when it prints out, you just fold it in.
Yeah.
Now you have a booklet.
Yeah.
I look slick
Yeah.
in my classes. All the teachers are like, "Damn, your exams look really good."
Yeah,
'Cause
right?
You just open it up and it's like a book and it's just like it looks so official. I'm like, "You're damn right."
Yeah. But it's so true because I remember coming here thinking about like all of these handouts that they would give in class. They're on these massive sheets of paper, but they're folded so that they're like the right size, right? But it's like, why does this happen? It's just different culture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's just more effort put in because, like, dude, I remember back when I was in, high school. I mean, even college, like, your professors or your teachers that hand out stuff, it's like, that was way louder than I thought it was
because of your ring of
power.
power.
There was a ring of power. But yeah, just slap it on the table. It's like, there's the paper. It's a thing.
Take it.
The paper's right there.
Yeah, the papers get mixed up sometimes.
And that's it. Yeah. And it's just like, when I think back on it, it's like, it doesn't really matter, but it's like, man, that was ugly.
Yeah.
You could have put some effort and like
made it a little bit nicer. Yeah. It also, that kind of reminds me of like when I first moved here, and this is another food related thing about cooking and stuff. I needed to find flour and I didn't know what flour to get because in America you have all purpose flour.
Yeah. You just buy the flour. It's like, what do you mean different types of flour? No, you just buy the flour.
Whereas it's so funny because I was like, I need flour, and they're like, okay, use this one. I'm like, I want to make bread though. This doesn't work well for bread. They're like, oh, then use the kyorikiko. It's like, what's that? It's a strong flour. I'm like, what? Like, why? Because basically all the flour in America is churikiko. It's the middle one.
Yeah.
And that's the flour they use the whole time. But in Japan, you can't get that. You have to mix the
heavy with
the light.
Yeah.
And they each have their own different uses. They'll even have pictures of what you can make with it on the label so that you can see, with hakurikiko you make this kind of stuff. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, man, we ended up talking about a lot of stuff. Paper.
Yeah,
stuff.
I was kind of excited to talk about this subject because it's not really something we've really mentioned on the channel before.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things that, like, I don't really think it's advertised in Japan. Like, no one's ever like, bro, when you go to Japan, you're gonna look at the stationery and it's gonna be so cool.
Yeah,
it's like no. They're talking about like shrines and temples and like food and all the other stuff that like Japan's famous for. But when you go over here, it's like, especially if you're working over here, you're just gonna be like, yo, I need office supplies one day, and you're gonna go in and you're just gonna be like, what the hell is this? Like,
there's too many options.
Yeah,
what do I go for?
So it's just like one of those things that's fun, and you can actually encounter this in the U.S. if you go into Daiso, because the Daiso in the U.S. looks very similar to the one here,
or the Loft. Oh wait, there's no Loft in America.
Oh, dude, they got. I mean, was it not Bed Bath and Beyond? They got stores that are like the Loft.
Are you talking about like Brookstone?
Is that the one that sells like the stuff that you see on like the TV ad commercials?
That you don't really need, but if you have extra money, you buy it. Yeah,
dude, that's
Brookstone.
Loft.
Yeah, that is Loft.
100% Loft.
I was gonna say Loft is like Brookstone.
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends that had like he had his father passed and he got a huge inheritance of like over $1 million.
Yeah.
And like he would go to Brookstone every week and buy something new. And when I come to see him, like, what is it? Oh, this is just like a neck massage that I got from Brookstone. How much was it? $400.
This is like a heated vacuum machine that will warm and massage your hand while you're vacuuming.
Yeah, basically,
it's like this is the most useless shit ever. It's like, who cares? You're freaking vacuuming. You don't need a hand massage.
Or like they had like speakers that will float in your pool or something.
Although, okay, you mentioned that my when I went to visit my sister, she's got a pool and we were out in the pool, and she's got this floaty that's like a snack tray / drink holder.
Okay,
and dude, it is the most amazing thing ever, especially when she put it in the hot tub.
Yeah,
and we're just chilling in the hot tub, and there's like these chips and like guacamole dip right in the center of the hot tub. And oh god, it was so good.
Dude, I feel like Brookstone is made for people like your sister. I'm not at that
I
level.
can believe that. Chelsea likes the fancy stuff.
Yeah,
so does Carrie too.
Yeah,
But
Cool. Well, I think we've talked about as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
still have a little bit more for the next episode. So
Yeah.
I'll see you next time.
Wait,
Well, let's
let
finish
me,
this.
All right,
Let's finish
let me
this.
do the drink.
Are you gonna finish that? We're done.